Welcome to the Diabetes Nerd podcast. My name is Ginger Vieira. I have lived with type 1 diabetes for 25 years, since about 1999. And my guest today is a mother with type 1, but she's also a CDCES and an RD and an all-around powerhouse in supporting and advocating for especially women with diabetes. Hi, Lindsay. How you doing?
Hi, Ginger. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Can you tell everybody kind of who you are and your tell us your Instagram handle. Tell us what we need to know.
Yeah, so I'm Lindsay. Like you said, I have had type 1 since I was 9, so about 28 or 29 years now.
Okay.
And my Instagram handle is at Mama Beatty's blog, all one word. So I have a whole bunch of content up about just like easy meal hacks and,
Mm.
all kinds of fun dietitian stuff, but also just life as a mom with diabetes and getting more and more information up there about GLP-1s for, especially for women with type 1 diabetes.
Yeah, especially for women. I mean, I don't need to leave the men out. I did just at ADA scientific sessions last week. There was two fellas talking about using GLP-1s, and they're both mega athletes, right? They're not using it for
Yeah.
maintenance, and they're like it's incredible just of how much less insulin they need every day. And if there's anyone that needs help with that, it's especially women because of menstrual cycle hormones and we'll get into all
Yes,
of it. Yes, yes. You have two
for
kiddos?
sure. I do. Yeah, I have an 8-year-old and a 7-year-old.
Okay. Mine are 8 and 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I kind of feel like I live the same life as you. I watch all your YouTube videos and everything, and I'm like, we have very similar lives.
Oh. You have too many dogs in your house? Is that no?
Well, just one, but he's big, so he feels like multiple
Yeah,
dogs.
yeah. Mine probably add up maybe to
Yeah.
his weight. So, okay. I started GLP-1, I don't know how long it's been now, maybe 4 years ago. And I mean, it was instantly incredible. How long have you been taking a GLP-1?
Yeah, for me, it's been about 8 months, so a little bit newer for me.
Okay.
But it also has been just such a breath of fresh air, I would say. It just has made things
Mm-hmm.
so much easier for me with managing my diabetes.
Yeah. And yet, I mean, I know we can dig into this, but yet it's so frustrating that type 1s cannot get this easily without jumping through a lot of hoops and playing games with insurance. And I don't
Yeah.
understand why the researchers, they're like, oh, we need to study that this is actually effective. And like, why wouldn't it? We already know it is. You guys, come on.
I know. It's awful that they're not willing to like put more research into it so that it can be approved for us because I think it
There
would
is
help so
one
many people.
study. Yeah. Oh my. I mean, it is life changing. It is truly. It just eases the burden. It doesn't make everything easy, right? It doesn't. You still have to work
Yeah.
every day to keep your blood sugars in range, but it does make it less of a battle
Yes, I would agree with
your
that. I would
own
agree with that for
body.
sure.
Yeah. Against your own hormones, against your lack of certain hormones, your overproduction of other hormones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
There
just
is
kind of
a
takes.
Sorry, have you heard of
Oh,
this
no, go
study
ahead.
that's going on? I think it's Novo Nordisk paying for it. It's one of the big ones, either Lilly or Novo, where they are looking at GLP-1s in people with type 1 living with obesity.
Yeah. Well, there was one that just got published, I think, very
Oh, okay.
recently. And then there's another one, I think, happening now or about to happen
Okay.
that is similar.
Which
Yeah.
is great, right? Because I mean, that's definitely a population that should have access to GLP-1s. But I also really want them to do a study on microdosing GLP-1s in people with type 1 who are not living with obesity.
Yeah, I agree because, it's great if it gets covered for type 1s with obesity. And I think a lot of type 1s are actually getting it approved through their insurance if they do have obesity
Right.
or if their doctor
Yes.
puts that in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for people that also don't have obesity, it's so helpful. And maybe, yeah, like I don't take the full dose even. I take like half of the lowest dose, but it still
Yeah.
provides a lot of
Okay,
benefits.
let's talk about that. How are you dosing your GLP-1?
Yeah, so I use Ozempic. I was able to get it approved by my insurance. And so with Ozempic, you can click up
Yeah.
the number of clicks, which makes it really easy. So I click up to, I started with like 17 clicks, and that's like about half of the 0.25 dose. And
Okay.
now I kind of play around. I'm up to like 20 or 22. So a
Okay.
little bit more than half,
So
but that's,
how many clicks is the 0.25 dose?
I think it's like 36 or 37 clicks, something like that.
Okay. Okay. I've been hacking my pen with a
How
syringe.
do you do it? Oh, with a syringe. Okay, so you just pull it out of the
Yeah,
syringe.
I figured out the conversion of insulin units to
Yeah.
because when people are buying it from Hims or Hers or Weight Watchers, it's often coming in a vial with insulin syringes,
Yes.
and so that really helped me confirm the conversion. So I take
Yeah.
15 units, which is
Okay.
0.15 as a dose.
Okay. Okay. So that's probably pretty similar to what I'm doing just with
Yeah,
clicks.
you're just using the pen properly. Um, yeah. Okay. And then
Yeah.
do you find so I've met type ones who are like, yeah, that was so helpful, but I was so sick. And I was like, well, you don't have to take, they were just prescribed, you know, 2 milligrams, which is a huge dose. And that's
Yeah.
intended for someone living with obesity. And if you're taking it and maybe you're trying to lose some weight, but you're not obese, then that can be way too much. And my friend Chris Zoki, who's also he's an NP and he has type 1,
Yes.
he said he
Yeah. I
gets,
met with him. He's
oh,
who was
good.
able to
Yes,
prescribe it for me. Yeah.
good. Okay, we'll talk about that. He said that in his experience as a nurse practitioner, most type 1s really need a microdose regardless of their weight, unless they really are living with obesity and severe insulin resistance. Is that what you're seeing
Yeah.
in your group too? Tell us about your group on Facebook.
Yeah, so I have a Facebook group. It's I always have to look at the name because it's kind of a mouthful. I might have to change that, but the name is Mama Dash Beatties GLP-1 T1D Thrive Tribe, and I have about 315 members so far, but it's growing pretty quickly. And it's all women with type 1
It's an
who
open
are
Facebook group that anyone can join as a woman, right?
it's yeah, it's private. You have to
Private,
like
but you
ask
can,
to
it's not,
join and answer some
yeah,
questions.
yeah.
Yeah, but anyone can join it and there's a lot of really good conversations happening because I think there's a lot of Facebook groups out there for people on GLP-1s, but not a
Mm,
whole lot specific to type 1s, and I think this is the only one for women only, which
yeah.
sorry men, but sometimes we just have other questions about,
Yeah.
hormones and things like that that we
Yeah.
just want to talk about.
Yeah.
So, um forgot what your original question was
Yeah,
about
because I
oh,
asked
like
you a few
conversations
questions.
about
Sorry.
yeah.
That's my bad.
But no, I think a lot of people are taking like a smaller dose to get started.
Yeah,
And I actually started with the full 0.25 dose my first time taking it.
me
And I
too.
was pretty sick. Like I did not feel well for a couple days after taking it. And I
Okay.
almost stopped altogether. And I almost was like,
Oh,
this is not for me. I do not feel good on this. But then I gave it a break for a couple of weeks and then I dialed it back after
okay.
that. And it was much better.
I started on that dose. I felt good on the 0.25 dose, but I I definitely that first month like had no appetite. I didn't feel
Yeah.
nauseous. I just and I enjoyed like, oh, finally that food noise. That was such a big thing for me. It was just, and I had learned how to
Yes.
live with it and not listen to it, but it was exhausting to have to try
Yeah.
to ignore it all the time, right? And
Yeah.
I mean, and that was the first thing I noticed was just the food noise was gone. And
Me
I
too.
lost weight I didn't need to lose that first month because I wasn't
Yeah.
eating enough. And so once I got past that first month, I was like, okay, you need to eat your meals. And then I did
Yeah.
my doctor said, they write the script. They say go up to point 0.5. I did that and my stomach hurt after anything I ate, like banana and peanut butter, a
Yeah.
really simple meal, and it was just like in pain, my stomach. So I went back down. And also that was too high. I was having look like I couldn't figure out my insulin sensitivity at that
Okay.
0.5 dose. It was like I was too sensitive and there was no
Yeah.
way to fine tune my doses enough to actually meet that new sensitivity.
Okay. So that was just way too much for you, it sounds
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. And then I went back down
Yeah.
and then I just thought, well, I want to take as little of this as possible. and get the
Yeah,
benefits, right? And so
right.
that's why I tried seeing, okay, let's see if 0.15 is enough, and it still is, and
Yeah, it's been like the sweet spot.
yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people do. They take too much because they're just listening to their doctor and what their doctor told them to do, and then they don't feel good, and then they don't want to take it. But yeah, I think if they were able to just cut back a little bit on their dose, that
Yeah.
would solve the issue.
Yes. And if you're taking, and I've seen this in friends, if you're taking so much because you are trying to lose weight, and I know that frustration wanting to lose weight. I have been
Yeah.
30 pounds heavier than I am today. I understand what it's like to be in that larger body and you want to lose weight and it's hard and you've been given this thing that makes it easier. But if you're puking and you can't eat at all, eventually that is going to backfire. There's a lot to be said
Yeah.
for less is more with a GLP-1, right? And then combining it
Yes.
with lifestyle habits
Mm-hmm.
that help move
Mm-hmm.
things along.
Yeah, that too. And I think if you're losing weight too quickly, and this is something I talk to my patients about a lot, is that you're going to lose muscle and then you're going to be in a worse spot than where you started. So it's,
Right.
just trying to just take the littlest amount that you need to reach your goals, whether that's weight loss or just reducing the food noise or helping with
Yeah.
your blood sugars. And then, you know, if you don't need more than that, then
Yeah.
yeah, why take more?
Right. Because, I mean, if you start it, you should really plan to be on it for the rest of your life. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially for people like us with type 1. I mean, we're
Yeah.
not going to get the benefits of it if we're not taking it.
No,
It's
it's
just
not
like our
going to get
insulin.
better. Like the hormones, it's helping us compensate. I've done an episode on the other five hormones that we don't regulate properly,
Yeah.
and how well Ozempic helps, or any GLP-1 helps you compensate for that. And that's not going to change
Yeah.
10 years from now.
Right.
So don't
No.
start it unless you plan on staying on it and you have a solid way to get it too, right?
Right. Right. If you're paying like $2,000 a month for it, that's not very sustainable.
Right. No. So let's talk about getting it. What are the ways that you've seen people with type 1 manage to get insurance approval or get it in an affordable way?
Yeah. So there's, I think, some terminology that can be helpful, and Chris is, a master at this. I can't speak today. I refer a lot of people to him
Good.
if they're having trouble or if their doctor maybe isn't on
Yeah,
board
so
with it,
shout out to
which,
Chris, diabetesnp, like nursepractitioner.com. He is awesome and he can work with people across the country and help you get
yeah.
insurance approval. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, yes. So I'm going to pull up a note on my phone because I have some terms that I had written down because I get this question all the time in my Facebook group
Sure.
too.
Me too.
But if it's written for impaired glucose and
Mm-hmm.
insulin resistance instead of type 1 or type 2, I think that can be
Yeah.
helpful. And then post-meal spikes or gradually increasing insulin needs,
Mm-hmm.
weight gain, like things like that, I think are what can be helpful as opposed, like if you put type 1, it probably
Done.
won't be covered.
No.
So you don't necessarily have to lie, but if you put some of these other things that might still be true,
Yeah.
but you're not
Impaired
saying type
glucose.
1.
Impaired glucose is a big one, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I just saw a thing saying one of those big pharma makers is going to start selling their GLP-1 for $299 a month or $299 a pill.
Okay.
But I wonder how hard is it to get it? Like, do you still have to,
Yeah.
yeah, you have to prove you have type 2? How does that work?
I don't know. And that's the other challenge too, is there's what I have found is a lot of people's doctors, endocrinologists aren't on board with it yet either. So, even getting them to write the prescription could
Yes.
be a challenge,
Those doctors are
which I
behind the times.
encountered.
Those doctors need to talk to their friends in endocrinology
Yeah.
and learn, right? They need to tune in because they're missing some things that are
Yes. They
happening.
need to listen to podcasts like this so they can hear how helpful it
Yes,
is for us.
right. I'm sure endocrinologists are tuning in to learn from Diabetes Nerd. I don't know. The really good ones
They
are.
should
The really
be.
good ones. Yes,
Yeah.
they should. Yeah. Um, okay, so you've been on it for 8 months. So what were some of the initial things that you noticed and experienced? And how did it affect your insulin needs? Because that's a big question everybody has.
Yeah. Yeah. So right away, like you said, the food noise was way decreased. I used to like, I never really realized that was a thing that I had an issue with before, but I was always like looking for little snacks or when I walk in the kitchen, grab something and thinking about like, oh, what am I gonna have, after dinner? But I don't really think about that anymore. I just eat when sorry, it's storming here. I don't know if you can hear the thunder. But I just eat when it's time to eat. And
And we're back after a little bit of a technical snafu. Lindsay lost her internet. So 5 days later, we are finishing our discussion on GLP-1s. Okay, Lindsay, you've been on it for less than a year. What were your immediate experience? Like, what were the immediate things that you noticed after you started it in that first month, even the first week? Because I get messages from people who freak out in that first week. And
yeah.
then we'll talk about, months later and
Yeah, well, I think I mentioned when we spoke a couple days back that I got pretty sick after the first time of taking the full dose. So, just not a lot of hunger and really nauseous. But when I started taking the smaller dose, what I noticed was that I didn't have any nausea, but that food noise went away. Like it just went away magically, like immediately. And
yeah.
I can be a hangry person. If you ask my family, I can be pretty hangry, but I don't get hangry anymore. Like I get
No, me neither.
hungry. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I feel hungry still, but I don't get that like, oh my God, I have to eat right now
It's
feeling
so
anymore.
freeing, that feeling, to
Yeah.
have that feeling gone. I don't think we realize like how exhausting it is, the
Yes,
food noise.
it really is. Yeah,
That was
it's
the biggest thing for me. It was just like,
hmm
holy moly, what a relief.
yeah, I agree. It's just like a weight off my shoulders that I don't constantly
Yeah.
have to think about that anymore.
So I know before I started a GLP-1, I had kind of learned like, I didn't know why I was always feeling the food noise.
Yeah.
I didn't, this is before I understood that science of the hormones that tell that food noise to knock it off or
hmm
prevent it from happening in the first place. But do you, did you have a method for managing that before GLP-1?
No, and I don't think I ever realized, like, until I saw your video that you posted about those other hormones, even as a dietitian, I did not know that that was the case, even after
Okay,
having
so they're not
diabetes for
teaching it to
29
clinicians
years.
either. Yeah. Okay.
No, no, I had no idea. But once I heard that video, it made so much more sense. But I
Yeah.
think I just always, assumed that maybe I work out a lot, so I'm hungry more, or I just
Yeah.
never really thought about it. But I would just try to eat what I thought I should eat and
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah. I had definitely, I didn't know why, but I had decided in my head that it must have something to do with having to take insulin all day and that the
Yeah.
insulin made me hungry, right? And and I had learned how to ignore it. But basically,
Mhm.
I'd spend all day trying to ignore it. Like, not that I wasn't eating all day, but like my brain wanted me to just snack constantly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, it's really frustrating that it's not talked about and acknowledged because type 1s struggle with their weight.
hmm
And that's a big part of why.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know that should be a bigger part of the conversation
Yeah.
and, talked about more.
Yeah. Okay. So it quieted your food noise. What else?
Yeah. So it wasn't really about weight loss for me. That's not why I started it, but I've lost like between 3 and 5 pounds, I would say,
Yeah.
on any
Okay.
given day. And it's just been easier to kind of maintain that.
Yes, same, same. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And
It's
then
just not an uphill battle to just keep it. I feel like I was always trying to keep it there, my weight.
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would start creeping up and I'd be like, but it
Yeah.
kind of just stays there now. And I don't really have to think
Yeah.
about it as much.
Yeah.
Even without like tracking my food or looking at,
Right.
macros. It's
Without
just,
obsession.
yes, it's a lot
Yeah.
easier.
I could only get my weight to stay there if every now and then I went into kind of like a deprivation week of just being
hmm
like a little, just under eating a little bit
Yeah.
for a week. And then that would calm down the T1D weight gain. And then, it was like just
Yeah.
annoying. Yeah.
Right. But now it's just a lot easier. And I'm using less insulin, which might be part of,
Mm.
why it is easier. I'm using, I would
Yeah.
say like 20%, 20 to 30%
Yep.
less
Me
insulin
too. And you're
typically.
using less insulin because your liver, a couple reasons, your liver is making less sugar.
Yeah.
And that's just such an unfair part of type 1. We overproduce sugar, then we
hmm
need more insulin, and it's not even good insulin. You know what I mean? It's not compared
Yeah.
to what our bodies would make, it's this insufficient stuff. So there's just no way that, like, not, if our body was like, I just produced 10 units of insulin for you all day to cover your background needs. I bet that I'm just making this up, but I'm just
Yeah,
imagining of how crappy man-made insulin is versus your naturally made insulin. That's probably like 20 or 30 units of long-acting insulin to equate to that. You know what I mean?
probably.
Or basal insulin
Yeah,
in a pump. And so
right.
it's
There's
more
no way it's
insulin,
as,
more sugar, more weight gain.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
mad. I'm mad about it, Lindsay. It's not fair. And it's
I
not fair that
know.
nobody's talking about it.
I agree with you, and that there is this solution that can help that also is not
Yeah.
available to most of
Yeah.
us.
Right.
Yeah,
It's getting there. They're talking about it more now,
yeah, yeah.
but it's taking its sweet time and there's a lot of nonsense wrapped around it, I feel. So did you immediately realize like, okay, I need a lower dose? Like, did you change your dose after that first week?
So I wear an insulin pump, like an Omnipod 5 that's connected to my Dexcom. So on a lot of the background insulin kind of just adjusted itself using
Mm.
my Omnipod. It kind of just
Hmm.
figured out what I needed. So I never really had to adjust that a whole lot. I was just a little bit
Okay.
more careful with how much I took at meals and with
Yeah.
my insulin to carb ratios and sensitivity factor and, adjusted that a little bit. But I
Yeah.
didn't need to manually do a whole lot because my pump just kind of did it for me.
Okay. So your meals were also 20 to 30% less insulin, would you say?
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. I one time forgot my worst low. I've probably already explained it on the podcast, but my worst low is when I forgot to cut my meal bolus back. My meal
Yeah.
dose bolus,
Dolus.
and I gave myself what I would have given myself for that meal, and I had a crazy low later that day. But that's the only crazy. There's this fear that Ozempic and these GLP-1s cause crazy lows in type 1, but that's only if you're
Yeah.
taking too much insulin. And if you just
Right.
adjust your insulin doses, it's just your new normal.
And you're taking so much less anyway that a low is less likely to happen. If you're
Yes,
taking only a
thank
couple units for
you.
a meal, it's really not very likely that you'll go low.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, it's so annoying that people say this about, oh, it causes more lows. No, it actually decreases your risk of
Yeah.
lows as long as you worked with your healthcare team or your pump does it for you, whatever you need to do this properly to reset your insulin doses.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then over time, if you're losing weight, if you're someone that had 30 or 50 pounds to lose, you're going to have to
Right.
continue to decrease your insulin doses because every five
Yeah.
pounds you lose is going to show up on your insulin sensitivity.
Yeah, then you definitely, and I do think that if you're on a GLP-1, it's very smart to have a CGM so you can see what's happening
Yeah.
at first. But yeah, I mean, I think the lows are not as scary as people are like making them out to be or thinking that they'll be.
Yeah. People also ask me, I'm curious your take on this, if lows are harder to treat because GLP-1s slow down your digestion.
I hear that a lot too, and I haven't really noticed that myself. But I think it might depend what you're treating with and
Yes.
how low your blood sugar is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think for some people, if they're treating with like a peanut butter sandwich, that might take a little bit too long. But if it's
Right.
something fast acting, then it really shouldn't take much longer.
No. So it's really reinforcing that you should choose the right carbs to treat your lows. Not a
Yeah,
bowl of ice cream, but
right.
fat free, protein free, fast acting, dextrose
Exactly.
based, whether it's a glucose product specifically or it's candy that's sweetened with
Yeah.
dextrose. That's the fastest.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even, people, I love that. It's usually non diabetics that say this, but sometimes I get it from people with diabetes. Well, why don't you use dried apricots? And why don't you use dried mango? And I'm like, oh, that's the worst thing to treat low blood sugars. It takes forever. You're going to over treat. I can't measure the carbs in a bag of dried mango. And
Yeah.
if you're on a GLP-1, it will take longer to digest too. And it's
Right.
fructose. And yeah, okay.
Yeah, I know. I used to always get people that are like, well, you just have a peppermint when your blood sugar's low. And it's like, no, that's not going to
Yeah.
help you.
Something healthy like a banana. I can't keep bananas in my glove compartment and my nightstand and my gym
Right.
bag. I mean, yeah, that's a whole nother rant. Don't get me worked up, Lindsay. I'm already in a mood today. So today, if you fast forward, I actually got a comment this morning from someone on my microdosing YouTube video
Hmm.
asking me if I cycle my GLP-1 dose, and they meant if you take a week or a month, I think they were saying take a month off every now and
Okay.
then to prevent your receptors from becoming kind of too used to it. And I was like, no,
Hmm.
I think that's a bad idea.
Yeah. I don't see that being a thing that happens. It's like, do you
No,
take a month off from your insulin because you just need a break from it?
right.
Like, I don't know. I don't think that I haven't seen any science behind that.
No, and it doesn't, to me, that sounds like a recipe for chaos. Like, because
Yeah.
I have had to go off GLP-1 when I thought it was going to be taken from me, and I wanted to control going off of it. I didn't want to have to cut suddenly.
Hmm.
And so I weaned myself off of it over a course of a month. I just, kept lowering my dose
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And then it took another month after that for me to see my blood sugars and my diabetes in general becoming more what it used to be. Just everything.
Yeah.
I suddenly needed more insulin, and I was responding more quickly to meals, and everything felt more chaotic because I wasn't used to that version of normal. And
Yeah.
so I wouldn't want to, like if you're going off of it for a month, your liver's going to start producing more glucose. It just sounds like a mess. I wouldn't ever do
Yeah.
that.
It just seems like you're making it harder for yourself. Like there's
Yeah.
no reason to do that.
Okay, thank you. Because I was like, that sounds like a terrible idea. So today, do you think about adjusting your dose, or are you just going to stick on what you're on?
I've been thinking about adjusting it a little bit. And I mean, I was doing like the 17 clicks and now I'm doing 22. So I have bumped it up a little bit, but I don't
Yeah,
think I'll ever go to the full dose or any more than that.
yeah,
Just because, well, I guess I should never say never. I don't know how I'll feel, a year from now or whatnot, but
yeah,
it's doing its job. So I'm kind of like, as long as I'm feeling good, I'm not going to mess with it. But if it
yeah.
starts to wear off, then I might, think about bumping it up a few clicks as
Well, and
needed.
that brings up a good point too. When you said it's doing its job, I want to point out that it's not doing all the work. You are putting in the work of exercising regularly and eating a lot
Yeah.
of real food. Right?
Yeah.
Can you talk
That's
about
true.
like you can't expect this to save you from everything. You have to
Yeah,
invest in those other lifestyle habits because also
for
that helps
sure.
you keep your dose low.
Yeah. And if you're not planning on like doing any exercise or, making any changes to what you're eating, it's almost not even worth going on it in the first place because then I think we talked a little bit a few days ago about if you're not doing any kind of strength training or you're not doing any kind of exercise, you could lose a lot of muscle mass being on one of these medications.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
especially if you're on it to really lose a lot of weight.
yeah.
You should,
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely don't. Yeah, that's one of the biggest concerns they have is, but I don't, it's not like just the drug itself causes muscle loss. It's the rapid
No, it's
weight
the
loss.
rapid weight loss,
Yeah, yeah,
and then not eating enough protein, not doing anything to keep your muscles strong,
right.
as you're losing weight rapidly, if that's,
Yeah.
if that's your goal.
And I mean, that's helping you also build your metabolism in a way that's unrelated to the medication is by putting on muscle and building that muscle and exercising every day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's critical. And I mean, I want to be on the least amount of any medication
Hmm.
as possible, right?
Agreed.
Least
Yeah.
amount of insulin as possible. I take a low dose of an anxiety medication. I want to be on the
Yeah.
least amount of that. So I need to do all the things I can do in my life to help
Yeah.
my body need less of those medicines. And it's
Right.
the
And
same
just
with,
like avoid side effects that could come with,
yeah.
with any of those medications.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Do you see in your group that you've been running with women who are on GLP-1s,
Hmm.
what kind of experiences are you seeing that kind of pop out?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are there because they're like newly starting the medication and they just like want some support or some advice or someone to like tell them it's going to be okay. Um, a lot of people, I have them fill out some questions before they join, and a lot of them are looking just for support and connection and, other people that are like them and doing similar things. So a lot of the comments and questions kind of are around those kinds of things, just like looking for support, not a ton of like medical questions, which is good because that's not really what it's for.
Right.
But it's been just more people looking for like support and just someone to say like, oh, I've been there too. Like, this is what you can expect.
Yeah.
Start slow. Don't worry like about all these side effects that you're worrying yourself about. Just kind of, see how it goes.
Yeah. Don't, and people are so panicked to start it. Some of the messages I've
Yeah,
gotten
yeah,
is that I
yeah.
think it's because of the news and silly headlines in the news, maybe.
Probably, yeah, because they're gonna, the news is gonna like have the horror stories and
Yeah.
they just
The
blow it out of
extremes.
proportion.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And I don't know, anything else you want people to know about starting it, taking it, staying on it?
I think it's really what we've covered already. Just, there's no reason to keep increasing it if you're feeling good
Yeah.
where you're at, and then maybe you can build up a little stockpile for
Yeah,
yourself
and
too,
don't
which is
rush
always
that. That's a good
nice.
point too. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
building a little stockpile and then
yeah,
not rushing the weight loss, right?
yes,
Like people
yeah.
want it
There's
all the
no
way off.
rush,
Yeah.
right?
And the
Yeah,
more
I
you rush it,
always,
the more likely this whole strategy is going to fail for you and it's going to rebound terribly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even if it's discouraging to only see like a half a pound a week or a pound a week, as long as you're moving forward, that's really the goal. Because
Yeah.
if you start losing a ton of weight really fast, it's just either you're not going to feel good, you're going to get more side effects, you're going to, lose more muscle. So just taking it slow and taking it one day at a time, and increasing it slowly too, if you do plan to increase it, I think is kind of the key.
Yeah. One side effect I'd like to know if you've seen this, that I didn't realize was really happening until more recently because it kind of comes and goes, and I take my dose
Mhm.
on Sundays, and I do think that somehow plays a little, I definitely see the strongest impact in the first 4 days after taking my dose,
Yeah.
4 or 5 days. I do not, it's not always true, but like, I don't know, I don't crave vegetables in quite the same way. And I still make
Mm.
sure that I
Yeah.
eat them, but especially greens, especially salad greens.
Yeah,
You seen that?
I've noticed that too. Like I used to want to eat a lot more vegetables, and now I almost have to force myself to eat them.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's just because I'm less hungry in general, but I've had a little bit of
Right.
that too, or it takes a little bit more like effort and planning to
Yeah.
get those in.
Okay. All right. I'm not alone there. I've never mentioned it, I don't think. And it's taken me a little while to realize, like, yeah, that is a real thing. But I
Yeah,
still will
yeah.
order a salad when I'm at a restaurant. So I don't know.
I think for me, I'm just less hungry overall, especially those couple days after taking it. So it's just
Yeah.
like, there's nothing that's like, oh, I really want to eat. Like I still want to eat, but there's nothing that's like, oh, I have to have that right now.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it is just like less overall hunger. And
Yeah.
then, of course, the vegetables are maybe just not as appealing as you know, the hamburger or
Yeah.
the
My
whatever.
dinner last night was gluten-free, bakery fresh bread with goat cheese and brie and fig spread.
Ooh, that sounds delicious.
Yeah. It was very late. It was like a really late dinner. I didn't even try to eat vegetables. It was like 9 p.m. So that was not a normal, but I mean, it's a normal meal I have, but normally I try to add vegetables.
Yeah,
I added a
yeah.
glass of wine. Does that count?
There you go. You get some
Yeah.
fruit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Lindsay, where can everybody find you again?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. It's at Mama Beatty's blog. You can find me on my website, mama-beaties.com. And then you can also just reach out to me anytime by email. It's just Lindsay at mama-beaties.com.
And your Facebook group.
Yes, that too. Yeah, my Facebook group. You can find it on my website or on my Instagram, but it is
Okay.
the Mama Beatties GLP-1 T1D Thrive Tribe. So yes, feel free to join if you're interested. I'd love to have you in there.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Lindsay, for sharing your Ozempic experience because, we're like trying to talk about it. It's not something we should be ashamed of. Our body needs it, not in the same way that we need insulin, but our body needs it. Like,
Yeah,
so yeah, thank you for being open about it and creating that
sure.
space too for more women to talk about it. It's awesome. So
Yeah, well, thank you for helping get the word out there because I've learned a ton from you. So thank you.
thank you. Thank you.